Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gandharvika Giri Dari Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta De Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta De Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. All good souls assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Okay. So welcome dear devotees to this auspicious Sunday Peace program. So today we'll be again seeing an amazing verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is such an amazing literature. Basically, we can understand Shukadeva Goswami, he was liberated by birth. So he was liberated within the womb of his mother only. And when he came out, and he got so much attracted to the pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, we can understand even the liberated souls get uh, attracted to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this actually, this example tells us the Bhagavatam is not any other mundane literature, like any other book. See, the liberated souls like Shukdev Goswami, they won't be attracted to the mundane books. So they will be attracted only to something transcendental. So that is a position of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it also explains us that all the pastimes of Lord which are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are not on the mundane platform. Otherwise, Shukdev Goswami won't be interested in speaking about anything mundane. So that gives us the position about the Lord and the Lord's pastimes mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that they are all transcendental, beyond the material contamination. So we are very, very fortunate to again read one of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam and an amazing purport from Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll share my screen. I'm hoping you all can see my screen and you can hear me as well. If you don't hear me or see my screen, please let me know. This verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, Chapter 29th, and text number 79. So we'll do word by word recitation first, and then translation, and then purport by Srila Prabhupada, and then we will discuss about the verse. Atas tad apavadartham bhaja sarvatmana harim pashyams tadatmakam vishvam sthit utpat apyaya yataha atastad apavadartham bhaja sarvatmana harim pashyam tadatmakam vishvam स्थित्युत्पत्त्यप्यया यतः अतस्तद् अपवादार्थं भज सर्वात्मना हरिं पश्यंस्तदात्मकं विश्वं स्थित्युत्पत्त्यप्यया यतः atastad apavadhartham bhaja sarvatmana harim pashyamstadatmakam vishvam sthityutpatyapyaya yatha. Atas, therefore, tat, that, apavadartham, to counteract, bhaja, engage in devotional service, sarvatmana, with all your senses, harim, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, pashyams, seeing, tat, of the Lord, atmakam, under the control, vishwam, the cosmic manifestation, sthiti, maintenance, utpatti, creation, apyayaha, and annihilation, yataha, from whom. Translation. You should always know that this cosmic manifestation is created, maintained, and annihilated by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, everything within this cosmic manifestation is under the control of the Lord. To be enlightened by this perfect knowledge, one should always engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Self-realization, understanding oneself as Brahman or spirit soul, is very difficult in the material condition. However, if we accept the devotional service of the Lord will gradually reveal himself. In this way, the progressive devotee will gradually realize his spiritual position. We cannot see anything in the darkness of night, not even our own selves. But when there is a sunshine, we can see not only the sun but everything within the world as well. Lord Krishna explains in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 7.1, Maya asakta manaha partha, yogam yunjan madashraya, asamshyam samagram mam, yatha nyasyasi tachrunu. Now here, O son of Pratha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. When we engage ourselves in the devotional service of the Lord to become Krishna conscious, we understand not only Krishna but everything related to Krishna. In other words, through Krishna consciousness, we can understand not only Krishna and the cosmic manifestation, but also our constitutional position. In Krishna consciousness, we can understand that the entire material creation is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, maintained by Him, annihilated by Him, and absorbed in Him. We are also part and parcel of the Lord. Everything is under the control of the Lord, and therefore our only duty is to surrender unto the Supreme and engage in His transcendental loving service. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopeka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So again, this chapter is, we are still continuing the discussions between Narada and King Prachina Bharishat. So this is now this whole narration is about to end, and Narada Muni is actually giving his final instructions to King Prachina Bharishad. As we can see in this verse, here it says Bhaja Sarvatmana Harim. So that is a sum and substance instruction that Srila Narada Muni is giving to King Prachina Bharishad. Just forget everything and Bhaja Sarvatmana Harim. So worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with your all heart, mind and soul. So this is the eventual final instruction which Narada Muni gave to King Prachina Bharishad. So now we'll see. So in this verse about understanding Krishna. So now Krishna reveals himself by his sweet will and not only by our efforts. So this is a very important point. So how do we actually see Krishna face to face, eye to eye? How do we understand the pastimes of Krishna? How do we understand the personality of Krishna himself? Because if we talk to a common man, they will actually think Krishna like themselves. Like Krishna has a material body, Krishna takes birth, Krishna becomes old, and Krishna will eventually die. So that will be the understanding of a common person. They can't think. And if we talk to some Gyanis, so who are attached to the impersonal Brahman, they will say Krishna is a supreme Brahman. He's impersonal, but he does not have a personal form. So, seeing Krishna face to face, eye to eye in his transcendental form is the highest perfection of spiritual life. Now, how do we actually see Krishna face to face, eye to eye? How do we understand the mystery of Krishna? How do we understand that the form of Krishna is transcendental and not mundane? So, now we will see how we can actually see Krishna face to face, eye to eye, and how we can understand all the mysteries of Krishna. So I'm hoping that you all can see my PowerPoint. So in case if you're not seeing my PowerPoint and only seeing my video, so please let me know. Okay, so here we see Krishna reveals himself by his sweet will and not only by our efforts. So in this regard, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter. 11th chapter is a very, very important chapter, especially the last few verses, where Krishna says, Naham Vederna Tapasa, Na Danena Na Chejyaya, Shakyam Evam Vido Drashtum, Drashtvan Asimam Yatha. The translation goes, the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So this is a very, very important point Krishna is revealing here, that in the estimation of the material world, we may be a very great personality. Uh, we may be a very big scholar of the Vedas, or we may be very austere person, or or maybe we may be very, 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 very charitable person and giving all our wealth in charity for some good causes, and or basically I may be too much perfect in my worship of ritualistic worships. So then it can be said, okay, if I am doing all this, then obviously Krishna will be pleased with me and then he will reveal himself to me. Or if not, I will force Krishna to reveal himself by doing all these things. So, but in this verse, Krishna says, no, I cannot be understood by all these methods. So basically we can see for scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand. Nor is he able to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. So we can take few examples. So we know from the pastimes in the 10th canto, the Brahma Patni pastimes, where there were few Brahmanas who were doing a very gorgeous ritualistic ceremony, a yagya, basically as prescribed in the Vedas. They were very, very learned scholars and doing those yagyas exactly as per the prescriptions in the Vedas. Now some cowherd boy came to their place and told them, Krishna and Balram are in the forest and they need some food. Please deliver some food. So they could not understand. So they just thought of Krishna and Balram as a common boy and they just ignored the statements of those cowherd boys. So they do not realize that Krishna and Balram are the supreme personality and they themselves are asking something from them to eat. But they were so much engrossed in their yagya to perfectly executing that yajna, they forgot the essence of the yajna only. They forgot that the real purpose of the yajna is to satisfy Krishna. So, but they got so much engrossed in the details of that yajna that they forgot this basic principle that Vedesha Sarver Ahame Vedya. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. That's what the Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. But they completely forgot that, and they ignored the statements. Do you see? So they were so much learned by the in the Vedas. They had so much grammatical knowledge. They had so much academic qualifications, and even Krishna personally asked for food from them, but they could not understand Krishna. So this helps us to understand. So, but eventually we see the wives of the Brahmanas. They were devotees of Krishna, and they just took everything, whatever was prepared in the kitchen, and they just ran to deliver everything to Krishna and Balram. So we can see those Brahmanas who were engaged in those ritualistic ceremonies, they could not understand Krishna, but those wives of the Brahmanas, they were poor, they were not educated, and they were very simple, but they can understand Krishna and Balram as a supreme personality of Godhead, and then they delivered all their footsteps to them. So we can understand that simply becoming a scholar is not going to help us in understanding Krishna. So generally when we come to Krishna consciousness, or in general before even coming to Krishna consciousness, we have this desire that I'll read these many books, I'll read Vedas, I'll read Puranas, and maybe I'll read books from this ashram, that ashram. I'll read tons of books, and then I'll become a big scholar, and then I'll be perfectly able to understand absolute truth. I'll be perfectly able to understand Krishna. So Krishna says here in this verse, says, "Naham vedair na tapasa, na dane na cha ejjaya." So I cannot be understood by the study of the Vedas. So basically, all these efforts that we employ to understand Krishna just by our own efforts, by reading some books here and there books, is not going to help. So, and again, we see, so as you can see, austerities and penances. Can anyone do austerities and penances like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan? Hiranyakashipu did so big austerities that we are not even come close to that austerity what Hiranyakashipu has done. So, but no, Krishna did not came. Lord Brahma came there. So he did not force Krishna to come and actually fulfill his desire. So no matter what serious austerities we perform, we cannot force Krishna to come. So similarly, if you're just going to temple to offer some worship and give some money and pray for this or that, so by doing that also we cannot understand Krishna, or we cannot force Krishna to understand, or basically we cannot force Krishna to reveal himself. So again we have to understand this point. By all these methods which are very very exalted in terms of the material estimation, we cannot force Krishna to reveal himself, or we cannot even understand the personality of Krishna. Forget about seeing Krishna face to face. Now here Krishna again says, Naham prakashah sarvasya yoga maya samavrata Mudoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I have covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. Now we can say, now we can actually raise an argument. So when Krishna was personally present here 5,000 years ago, everybody saw Krishna face to face, eye to eye. then then why do we say we cannot see Krishna face to face, eye to eye? See, at the time every common man, devotee, non-devotee, common person, mayavadi, impersonalist, yogis, ashtang yogis, everyone, practically everyone who was in the vicinity of that Bharat Varsha at that time, they saw Krishna face to face, eye to eye. Now Prabhupada actually says, see, here Prabhupada says, it may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present there on this earth, there were only few people who could understand him to be the supreme personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and the few others knew that he was a supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees in the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure, but to the others, the unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. So all the common man and everyone saw Krishna face to face, eye to eye, but only very, very few could understand that here is the supreme personality of Godhead. Here is the supreme Brahman. Here is the reservoir. Here is the reservoir of all pleasure. Only Bhishma, we can see Pandavas, Vyasdev, and very, very few devotees could understand the exalted position of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. So that is the real seeing of Krishna, where we can completely fully understand and we can see Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, not just like a common man uh, or a common village boy doing some pastimes, playing in the Vrindavan. So that seeing Krishna is not real seeing. When Krishna manifests himself as a supreme personality of Godhead, so that is the real vision of Krishna. Now again, it may be material qualities does not satisfy Krishna. So here is actually very good verse again. I'm sorry to in today's class we'll be discussing a lot of Sanskrit verses. So, but we'll try to understand them. They are not difficult. Now this again a point, right? Say for example, I can say that, say for example, Mukesh Ambani, those Ambanis, Bill Gates, and say Biden, the President of United States, or some say big Modi, Narendra Modi, some big personalities. They are very, very exalted personalities, or say some Bollywood actresses. They are so beautiful. They have a lot of money. So definitely Krishna will get attracted to them because they have all these exalted qualities, material qualities. But we have no account of any of these personalities revealing that they have seen Krishna, or they have become Krishna conscious actually. So basically, whatever material qualities like we have, the material qualities are not uh, having material qualities is not a qualification to understand Krishna. So if we think that the Ambanis and all, they can actually see Krishna, but I cannot see Krishna because they are very rich. I am not rich. Krishna is a master of all opulence, so obviously he'll be favoring Ambanis, but he won't be favoring me. No, that's not the case. So in this verse from the Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, "Manye dhana bijana rupa tapa shruta taujas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga नाराधनन नाराधनाया ही भवन्ति परस्य पुंसो भक्त्या तुतुष्टो भगवान gata yutha paya." Prahlad Maharaj said, one may possess wealth and aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, and mystic yogic power. But I think that even by all these qualifications, one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. Gajendra did this, and thus the Lord was satisfied with him. See, Prahlad Maharaj here has covered everything. He has covered wealth, he has covered beauty, family, education, influence, bodily strength, intelligence, mystic yoga power. So whatever material qualities we can think they are very exalted in terms of the material estimation, here Prahlad Maharaj says that none of these qualities can actually attract Krishna. They cannot satisfy Krishna. That is not a qualification. Now, Gajendra, he gives an example of Gajendra. He was just an animal. Now, what kind of quality he will have? He was just an elephant. So we can understand, but Gajendra, by his sincere prayers of devotional service, attracted Krishna. So we see, so these qualities, if we think that I'm very rich, I'm very handsome, I'm beautiful, or whatever it is, and so I will be able to attract Krishna, so we will be in illusion. So we can understand this example which Prahlad Maharaj gave. Gajendra was simply an elephant, but just by the simple prayers of sincere prayers of devotional service, he attracted Krishna. Now again, now let's come to the scientists. So they can claim, and we may also believe them, right? So eventually, scientists will be able to know Krishna and see Krishna and understand Krishna face to face, eye to eye. But if we ask the scientists, they will make this claim that eventually we will know the cause of all causes, from where everything has come. We'll find out everything. So there will be nothing that we won't know. If you go to any scientist, they'll be so puffed up that this is the claim that they will be making, even though they don't know anything today. But they will say that in the future we'll know everything. So, but today they don't know anything. So, but here, so we'll again see the statement from the Shastra regarding how any amount of scientific advancement also is not sufficient to understand Krishna. He is beyond the perception of the material contaminations. So this verse is from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 14th chapter, where Lord Brahma actually glorifies Krishna in Brahma Vimohana Leela. Gunatmanastyapi gunan vimatum hitavatirnas ka ishire asya kalena yairva vimita sukalpeir bhupam shvaha khe mihika dvibhasa. In the time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of the snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities? See, here this statement is given by Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the topmost personality of this universe, whether in terms of science, whether in terms of philosophy, or whatever material estimation we can, whether in terms of wealth, everything we can see. Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe and he is the topmost personality. He is the most intelligent of all the intelligence. He is the most knowledgeable of all the knowing in this universe. Now he is making this statement to Krishna that no amount of scientific advancement is actually sufficient to understand Krishna. So if Lord Brahma is making that statement, what is the position of our tiny puny scientists of this material world? Only a small age, and we'll just go on making some random claims. But here Lord Brahma says that they may be able to make exalted scientific advancement, the scientists, like count all the atoms of the earth, which seems impossible, or shining molecules radiating from the sun, which also seems impossible. But he agrees that maybe the scientists will be able to understand all this, but they won't be able to understand Krishna. And they won't be able to understand the absolute truth. So no matter what kind of scientific advancement the scientists make or the humanity makes, Krishna is beyond the reach. The Krishna will still remain a mystery. Now here again we see Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyahi sevonmukhehi jivadav swayame sprutiyada. This is a very, very important verse. And this we'll see later also. So in this verse it is said, Srila Rupa Goswami says, no one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. So this is the point we have to understand. If our senses are under the influence of the modes of material nature, we cannot understand Krishna. And so we can see all the philosophers, scientists, logicians, common man, they are completely under the grip of three modes. Even the so-called philosophers who have different paths of knowledge and different sects and groups who may think that they are liberated, but eventually they are not liberated actually. So no one except the devotees of Krishna are beyond the modes of material nature. And Krishna actually confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says in the 7th chapter, 15th verse that Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eviye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So this illusory energy of mind is divine in nature. Only those who surrender into me can cross this illusory energy. So we can understand someone who has not surrendered unto Krishna, like big scientists, scholars, philosophers, logicians, and whoever, charity giving persons, beauty, Bollywood actress, this and that. If they have not surrendered unto Krishna, they cannot go beyond the modes of nature. And unless we go beyond the mode of nature, we cannot understand the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna. So we can, from this verse, we can clearly understand. And if we correlate this with the 7th chapter, 15th verse of Bhagavad Gita, that Devi Esha Gunamayi, that verse, we can understand only the devotees can understand Krishna. Only the pure devotees of Krishna can understand Krishna and see him face to face. And seeing Krishna And understanding Krishna means seeing Krishna, seeing and understanding absolute truth in full. So if anybody can say that, oh, I understand absolute truth, I understand this and that. So we should be very easily able to understand that if he's not surrendered to Krishna, he cannot understand absolute truth. Mayavadis can go say to some extent about the impersonal Brahman. The mystic yogis can go to the Paramatma. But Brahman realization and Paramatma realization are not the complete understanding of the absolute truth, which Prabhupada says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that the complete understanding of absolute truth is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. And only devotees of Krishna can understand the complete absolute truth. And once we understand Krishna, so there is nothing else, nothing more needs to be understood. So if you understand Krishna, we'll understand impersonal Brahman, we'll understand Paramatma, we'll understand the creation of this cosmos, we'll understand the maintenance, we will understand all the living entities, we will understand the relationship of all the living entities with Krishna, we will understand the annihilation, we will understand the demigods, we will understand the material nature. Practically, we will understand everything if we understand Krishna. So basically, we won't have to make a separate endeavor to understand these things. Say to understand Krishna is cause of all causes. Once we understand the absolute personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, all this knowledge will be revealed to us. So basically we won't have to make a separate effort to understand impersonal Brahman or to this cosmos or to the Paramatma or to the demigods or to anything else practically. So here in the Nectar of Devotion introduction, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness is that one switch that will light the whole world. Just one switch we have to turn on, Krishna consciousness, and that will light the whole world. So we don't have to go and light each and every switch in each and every house. Just one switch of Krishna consciousness and that lights everything. So here we'll see, we'll come back to the second part of this verse later, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi. But here I have just put it to understand that no materially contaminated senses cannot we cannot understand Krishna through the materially contaminated senses. Practically everyone except for the pure devotees of Krishna have contaminated senses, so nobody can understand Krishna. So basically we can see, so those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize him as a supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientist. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge, but it is not possible to know the supreme person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described as adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. This is a very, very important point that we are discussing. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. That's why the Lord is called Adhokshaja. And that's why though the Krishna is present everywhere throughout the cosmic manifestation, because our senses are materially contaminated, we cannot see him face to face, eye to eye. But if we go back in the spiritual world, there Krishna can be seen face to face, eye to eye, just like you are seeing me at the moment, not online, physically. So just like we see each other in person, that's how we'll see Krishna face to face, eye to eye, even in the material world, if we become a pure devotee. And spiritual world, it's a very natural. So you will always see Krishna face to face, eye to eye. So we don't have to imagine Krishna. So there is nothing called imagination. Everything is properly revealed. So in this verse, we can understand. So the whole takeaway of this paragraph is, if the senses are materially contaminated, Krishna cannot be understood. So if anybody claims that he has understood absolute truth, Krishna, he's in illusion. Now basically we have seen some of the material qualities. Now let's see some of the aspects of yoga, karma, jnana and ashtanga yoga. Can these processes of self-realization help us to understand Krishna, or reveal, or will Krishna reveal followers of these processes, karma yoga, jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga? So let's see about these processes. So now we have taken one more next step. So till now we are discussing that all the material qualities and all the material qualities or all the austerities, penances we do, they won't help us to understand Krishna. Now, now let's see some of the processes of self-realization like karma yoga, jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga. Can one force Krishna to reveal himself if someone is very strictly following these processes. So here we see again from the scriptures in the Tantra Shastra, Lord Shiva says to Sati, "My dear Sati, if one is a very fine philosopher, analyzing the different processes of knowledge, he can achieve liberation from material entanglement. By performance of the ritualistic sacrifices recommended in the Vedas, one can be elevated to the platform of pious activities and thereby enjoying the material comforts of life to the fullest extent. But all such endeavors can hardly offer anyone devotional service to the Lord, not even if one tries for it by such processes for many, many thousands of births." You see, this is what the Lord Shiva is saying. See, Lord Shiva is again a very topmost authority. He is not like us. So his statements are always true. So what he's saying is all the jnanis who are too much engrossed in the cultivation of knowledge, mental speculation, philosophical speculation, discussions, and all the karmis who are too much engaged in the say Vedic sacrifices. So nowadays nobody does Vedic sacrifices anyways, or basically all the processes. So even by these processes, if they are engaged for thousands and thousands of birth, they cannot become devotee of Krishna. And unless you become a devotee of Krishna, you cannot understand Krishna. So we can see the Jnana Yoga by itself, Karma Yoga by itself is not sufficient to understand Krishna. There has to be devotion. So devotion, without devotion, none of the processes of self-realization is actually going to take us to the ultimate goal of Krishna. If I am only a Gyan yogi, too much into the philosophical speculation, mental speculation, but no tinge of devotion, Krishna is beyond my reach. If I am a I'm a perfect ritualist. Say we saw that Daksha Yajna, right? Daksha was a perfect ritualist. He was so perfectly executing the yajna, but still he could not understand the position of Lord Shiva as a topmost Vaishnava. So see, he had no understanding of Krishna consciousness. So if the personality like Daksha, who is so perfect in the executing ritualistic ceremonies, cannot understand Krishna, so how can the common man doing some yajna here and there can understand Krishna? So we can see so karma yoga by itself, jnana yoga by itself, and ashtanga yoga also. If I am engaging in too much austerities of eightfold yoga system, yama VM, I forgot those. So, but even if we engage in so much austerities of ashtanga yoga, but if we don't have a tinge of devotion to Krishna, we won't understand Krishna. We won't see Krishna face to face, eye to eye. Now this is again a very, very important verse. So this verse is actually said by Shukdev Goswami after describing the glories of Mother Yashoda. So in the Damodar Leela, once that is done, so this verse was spoken by Shukdev Goswami. So and this verse is repeated in Chaitanya Charitamrita also many, many times. Nayam Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Matamiya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or those who consider the body the same as the self. Here, Shukdev Goswami clearly says Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga by itself is not sufficient to understand Krishna. But the devotees like Yashoda Mata, See, see if you see if you see from the material estimation, what is the qualification of Yashoda Mata? She's just a woman, a cowherd woman, a very simple cowherd woman. But there, Krishna, Krishna fully reveals himself to Mother Yashoda. He has his childhood pastimes with Mother Yashoda, even to the extent that the Mother Yashoda can bind Krishna. No one in the whole creation can bind Krishna. But eventually, no, Yashoda was able to bound Krishna. You see, but so she had no qualification from the material estimation. So here, the Shukdev Goswami clarifies that point. No matter how exalted the process of self-realization is, unless you, but Krishna is only approachable by the devotees. So now the question arises: how to understand Krishna? how to see him face to face, eye to eye, how to enter into the pastimes of Krishna. What is the qualification required? See, so this is a very, very genuine question. So we have seen no method that we can think of from the material estimation that common man knows can help us to understand Krishna. So what can help to understand Krishna? So we'll see that. So there is one answer to all previous questions, which is a pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is the only process of self-realization that can attract Krishna, that can satisfy Krishna, that can give us as a living entity full satisfaction. And that is the perfection of existence. So we'll see some of the verses from Bhagavad Gita where Krishna himself uh, establishes that the pure devotional service is the topmost of all the methods of self-realization. So bhaktya tu ananya shakya aham evam vidho arjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. So here Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So this is verse actually is a continuation of the verse we saw in the beginning. Na daner na chayagya. So that's the first verse. It's a continuation of this verse. Naham veder na tapasa, na dane na cha ejya, shakya evam vido drashtam, drashtavan asi mamyata. Where Krishna says, the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So in the next verse, Krishna says how I can understand, how I could be understood. So that's verses 1154. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. See, Krishna has used a very, very important word. Bhaktya to Ananya. Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti means undivided devotional service unto Krishna, which means exclusive devotional service to Krishna. ऐसा नहीं कि 25% of my day I have devotion service to Krishna, then I'll go to some demigod, then I have devotion service to my office. No, no. Krishna says Ananya Bhakti, completely undivided, single pointed devotional service unto Krishna is the qualification by which we can understand Krishna and we can see Krishna face to face, eye to eye, just like Arjuna is seeing Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So here Krishna says, only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. And again, there are many verses like this. So which is a very famous verse again, 1855. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yash chasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato nyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Again, in this verse, Krishna says that only by devotional service I can be understood as I am. So this is a very, very important point. And when we talk about devotional service, we always imply pure devotional service. So we'll see what does it mean. So when one is a pure devotee, he says then one can easily enter into the kingdom of God. And there are more. Again, we come to this verse again by Srila Rupa Goswami. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyahi sevonmukhe jivadav swayamev smrityada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So this is very, very emphatic verse also. So which also says that unless our senses become pure by engaging in the service of Krishna, we cannot understand the form, quality and pastimes of Krishna. But once we achieve that platform of pure senses by engaging in transcendental service of Krishna, all of this will be automatically revealed to us. So this is very, very important point, a very important qualification to understand Krishna. So basically we cannot understand Krishna by our materially contaminated senses, But once we engage in the process of bhakti yoga, in the process of devotional service, then by that process itself, our senses get purified. By engaging in the service of Krishna, our senses get purified, and then we can fully understand Krishna. See, Krishna is cause and effect. Krishna is absolute truth. Similarly, the process of devotional service is also absolute. It is not that to become a devotee, I need to take some other process and then I have to take to devotional service. No, devotional service is the cause of the pure devotional service itself. So this is a very, very important point we have to understand. We have to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, no matter how contaminated we are. That process itself will lead us to the pure devotional service. It's not that I have to do some other thing to reach to the platform of pure devotional service. Devotional service, like Krishna, is absolute. So devotional service is the cause as well as the effect. So please don't get an understanding that I have to take some other process, say Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, this yoga, that yoga, and Hatha Yoga, and then finally I will become a devotee. No, let's try to become a devotee from day one. And then eventually, by the mercy of Krishna, we will become pure devotees. So devotional service itself is the cause, and that is the effect. It's an absolute. So devotional service only will help us to understand Krishna. No, I'll say like this: the devotional service will only help us to purify our senses of all the material contamination, and when that is purified, then we can enter into the pure devotional service of Krishna. So it's the same. Cause and the effect is the same. So devotional service is the means, and devotional service is the way. And again, we see from the verse that Prabhupada quoted in the purport, Maya asakta manah partha, yogam yunjan madashraya, asamshayam samagram mam yatha nyasasi tashrunu. Now here, O son of Prata, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. See, that's what the Krishna is saying in so many places in Bhagavad Gita. Unconditional devotional service, undivided devotional service, pure devotional service, the devotional service which is completely attached to me. Satatam kirtayanto mam, ye janaha paripasate. See, everywhere it talks about the pure devotional service. And and then Krishna also says the result. And what is the result? Here Krishna says, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So we won't have any confusion about the personality of Krishna, any confusion about the supremacy of Krishna, any confusion about the form of Krishna, any confusion that the Krishna is cause of all causes, any confusion that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Actually, that's a very important point. Now, the point arises, see, we are talking Krishna is a supreme, Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. K- Krishna is a cause of all causes. Krishna is a cause of this creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Now, what about myself? Who I am actually? Now, that understanding of myself is also not beyond Krishna consciousness. Once we understand Krishna, so we then also understand our original constitutional position also. So, by this process of devotional service, by this process of Krishna consciousness, we understand who I am really, from where I have come, what is my constitutional position. And the constitutional position of living entity is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivera Sarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. The constitutional position of the living entity is the eternal servant of Krishna. And you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. So this statement given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that constitutional position of the living entity is the eternal servant of Krishna, this understanding is also fully realized by practicing devotional service. So we don't have to take to any other process to understand my own position. Understanding Krishna is a complete understanding which includes our understanding also, that who we are. So when Krishna says you can know me in full, free from doubt, it also means that we will know ourselves also free from doubt, who we really are. Now let's see the exalted position of a pure devotee. So let's see some examples from the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So let's see the example of Yashoda Mata first. Now here in the same chapter of Damodar Leela, Shukdev Goswami says, excuse me. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. You see what mercy a pure devotee receives. And see here what comparison is with Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Lakshmi ji. They cannot obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, the mercy which is obtained by just simple coward woman Yashoda Mata. So this is an exalted position of a pure devotee. So we don't want to become Lord Brahma. We don't want to become such great personalities. What we want to become is just a very simple pure devotee of Krishna like Mother Yashoda. That is our goal. We don't want to become a very high-fi personalities. So that is not the goal. No, we are not after any position. But we only pray to Krishna to help us become a pure devotee like Mother Yashoda, to help us become a servants of the pure devotees like Mother Yashoda, basically. Servants of the servants of the servants of pure devotees like Mother Yashoda. So that is our desire. And then by that desire, the Krishna will give us mercy, and eventually we will also attain this platform of pure devotional service. Now about Pandavas. Pandavas are so glorious. So we'll see here. So this is in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the sixth chapter. Here, actually, what's happening is we are actually discussing uh, the narration of Lord Rishabhadev in the sixth canto, and then he actually starts. He's about to start the narration of King Priyavrata, and he actually glorifies that. No, he has actually already started discussion of King Priyavrata, and he's glorifying the dynasty of Priyavrata. That how glorious is the dynasty of Priyavrata. Now, obviously, he's so much glorifying the dynasty of Priyavrata. So Maharaja Parikshit might think, "Oh, I am nothing. Those are such a great devotees that my position is nothing." So just to encourage Maharaja Parikshit, Shukdev Goswami says this verse. He says, "My dear king, the supreme person Mukunda is actually the maintainer of all the members of the Pandava and Yadu dynasties. He is your spiritual master, worshipable deity, friend and the director of your activities. To say nothing of this, he sometimes serves your family as a messenger or as a servant. This means he worked just as ordinary servants do. Those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but he does not very easily give the opportunity to render direct service unto him." So he's just glorifying the exalted position of Pandavas. That, see, if you see the dealings of Krishna and Pandavas, right? They are so intimate dealings. Krishna is just like a family member. We also see from Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter where Arjuna says we are sleeping on the same bed, we are eating together, and we are joking. And even we see Krishna went to Duryodhana as a messenger of Pandavas for peace. Krishna even became a charioteer of Arjuna. Just see the intimate relationship between Pandavas and Krishna. So, and here this opportunity, this kind of relationship is actually very rare, because Krishna does not easily give opportunity to render direct service unto him, and that we'll see why. Because by pure devotional service, Krishna himself is purchased. Krishna controls whole spiritual world and the whole material world. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of Krishna, and that Krishna is controlled by the love of a pure devotee. So we can understand the exalted position of a pure devotee. Krishna, as a topmost controller, as a Bhagavan, as a supreme enjoyer, as a Ishvara of all existence in material spiritual world, is controlled by the love of pure devotee. He was so much controlled by the love of Mother Yashoda that he agreed himself to bind from Mother Yashoda, and he was scaring. No. Mother Yashoda is going to hit me with stick. No. I am so much scared. I should run away. See, he completely put himself, Krishna in Vrindavan in childhood pastimes, Krishna completely put himself in under the control of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. He is the topmost controller, and he completely put himself under the control of such pure devotees. So that is the position of a pure devotee. And so that's why we see pure devotional service is very rare, because Krishna is purchased by such pure devotional service. Now again we see about the Pandavas. So here after completing the narration of Prahlad Maharaj. So here Narada Muni says to Yudhishthira, "My dear Yudhishthira, you the Pandava brothers are the only fortunate people in this world." Narada Muni is saying this, "You are the only fortunate people in this world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared on this planet and is presenting himself to you as an ordinary human being. He is always with you in all circumstances. He is living with you and covering himself from the eyes of others. Others cannot understand that he is a supreme Lord, but he is still living with you as your cousin, as your friend, and even as your messenger. Therefore, you must know that nobody in this world is more fortunate than you." So this is a position of the a pure devotee. And when Krishna was present on this earth, he used to very occasionally visit Hastinapur to meet Pandavas. And all the great devotees like Narada Muni, all the great sages, they just used to come to visit Hastinapur, King Yudhishthira, on the pretext of seeing Krishna. All the great personalities used to visit Hastinapur just to see Krishna there. So that Krishna was so intimate friend of Pandavas. See, it's because devotional service attracts Krishna. That's the reason. Gyan yoga, karma yoga, ashtang yoga, material qualification, this qualification, that realization, scholarship, uh, the- whatever we have seen till now does not attract Krishna. But a pure devotional service attracts even Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, but devotional service attracts even Krishna. So this is explained by Krishna himself to Uddhava in the 11th canto, where he says, "My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees bring me under their control. I cannot thus be controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation." See, Krishna himself very emphatically saying here in this verse to Uddhava that only the unalloyed devotional service into me brings Krishna under the control of the devotee. And I cannot be controlled by any other process like mystic yoga, pious work, charity, study, renunciation, or anything else. Only the unalloyed devotional service actually puts Krishna under the control of the devotee. This is a statement of Krishna himself. So Rupa Goswami, the Nectar of Devotion, first chapter says, Srila Rupa Goswami has stated that devotional service attracts even Krishna. Krishna attracts even everyone, but devotional service attracts Krishna. The symbol of devotional service in the highest degree is Radharani. Krishna is called Madana Mohana, which means that he is so attractive that he can defeat the attraction of thousands of cupids. But Radharani is still more attractive, for she can even attract Krishna. Therefore, devotees call her Madana Mohana Mohini, the attractor of the cupid. See, Krishna is all attractive, and devotional service attracts even Krishna. So we can say that devotional service is even higher than Krishna. The process of devotional service to Krishna is even more exalted than the position of Krishna himself, because Krishna gets attracted by devotee, and who can excel more than Radharani? We already know that. So now in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, mm, this is the this is stated from Arjuna to Krishna when Krishna reveals his universal form to Arjuna, and then Krishna realizes Arjuna's exalted position as a supreme personality of Godhead, and then he remembers his intimate relationship with Krishna, and then he says this in Bhagavad Gita: when Krishna appeared in universal form, Arjuna prayed, "My dear Krishna, I thought of you as my cousin brother, and so I have shown you disrespect to you in so many ways, calling you Krishna or friend. But you are so great that I could not understand." So that was the position of the Pandavas. Although the Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the greatest among all greats, he remained with these royal brothers, being attracted by their devotion, by their friendship, and by their love. That is the proof of how great this process of devotional service is. It can attract even the supreme personality of Godhead. God is great, but devotional service is greater than God because it attracts him. People who are not in devotional service can never understand what great value there is in rendering service to the Lord. So this is the sum and substance of the importance of devotional service. So here we see in the relationship between Krishna and Pandavas, Krishna and Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mata, and practically Krishna with all the devotees in Vrindavan and all the exalted devotees. that how much Krishna is controlled by the love of his pure devotees. That he cannot, he says to the gopis that they have rendered so much service to Krishna, the Krishna cannot repay their debts. See, Krishna is saying he cannot repay the debts of the devotional service rendered by gopis unto Krishna. So this position of this exalted the devotional service that we see from this Bhagavatam, rendered by this pure devotional service or rendered by these pure devotees, can at least help us to understand the exalted position of pure devotional service. So here we can see this paragraph is from Nectar of Devotion, which says that it can even attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead. God is great, but devotional service is greater than God because it attracts him. People who are not in devotional service can never understand what great value there is in rendering service to the Lord. So now let's understand. So what exactly is pure devotional service now? So we won't use some technical terms or some technical phrases. I will try to put very simple statements so we all can very easily understand. So basically we're discussing so much, right? Pure devotional service, pure devotees. Krishna comes under the control of the pure devotees. Now, what exactly is the pure devotional service? Actually, we get a very easy explanation of pure devotional service in Shikshashtaka verses by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the fourth verse of Shikshashtaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatat bhaktir ahetuki tvai. My dear Lord, Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of fruitive activities. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service to you, life after life. See, that's what he's saying. Na dhanam. My dear Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you. Na janam. I do not want any number of followers. Na sundarim. I don't want any beautiful wife or nor I want any beautiful girlfriend. Kavitam. I am not interested in so much elaborate discussion of the Vedas. I am not interested about anything else. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagdish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatat bhaktir ahetuki tvai. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service to me life after life. You see the importance of life after life? The life after life here, Krishna says, oh, sorry, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I don't even want liberation. You see, he does not want wealth. He does not want any followers. He does not want any beautiful wife. He is not interested in the flowery language of the Vedas. And at the same time, he's saying, I want your devotional service life after life. Means I am not interested in the liberation also. So that is the position of, that is what the pure devotional service is. So actually, it means that I have no demands from Krishna. I have no demands from Krishna. Give me this, give me that, or help me to do this, help me to do that. It's an unconditional devotional service unto Krishna. Krishna, I am engaging in this devotional service. I'll give you an example. For example, we chant our Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily in the morning. So if we chant by the mood that Krishna, I am doing this chanting only for your pleasure, not for my pleasure, not for my satisfaction. I want you to be satisfied by my chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Then that chanting is a pure devotional service. You see, but if we chant Hare Krishna saying, oh, after chanting, oh, I'll become a very exalted devotee. Everybody will in ISKCON know me and I'll become very great. I'll become a big sannyasi. No, that is not a pure devotional service. Pure devotional service is only satisfaction of Krishna. All I want is satisfaction of Krishna. Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Engaging all the senses in the service of Krishna. That is called pure devotional service. So we have to understand the mentality. So whatever, so I don't have any demands. I don't have any expectation that if I engage in devotional service, I'll get this. Devotional service is not a business dealing, pure devotional service. Here we see, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhaktat Bhavtat bhaktir ahetuki tvai. My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of the fruitive activities. I only I also do not want liberation from you. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service life after life. Again, in the same Shastaka Vishi, Ashtishiva Padarataam Pinashtu Mam Adarshana Marmahatam Karutu Va Yatha Tatava Vidadatu Lampato Mata Prana Nathastu Saevana Paraha. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. You see, this is the position of pure devotion service. Sometimes we may see that, see, we go through so much material tribulations also. Even if we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we go through so much difficulties in our life. So at the time we can say, I am engaging in Krishna's devotional service. Why Krishna is giving me so much trouble? But here what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna. For his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. You see, that is the platform of pure devotional service. Anything and everything we do is only for the pleasure of Krishna, completely discounting my pleasure or my discomfort or my displeasure is. So that is the position of pure devotional service, and that is a pure devotional service. So next time when we do our chanting of our japa or any other service or book distribution, any other service or preparing an offering for Krishna. So let's have that consciousness that this I am doing, my intention is to please Krishna, not to please my own senses. I want to please Krishna by this. So that act becomes an act of pure devotional service. It's very simple. It's not complicated. We everything we have to do for the pleasure of Krishna. Then that devotional service becomes pure devotional service. So uh, we see one example, one narration also. So, so I don't remember it fully, but I just recalled it. So we'll just discuss. I'll just share. So once Narada Muni ask, you all might be knowing it, but still we'll discuss. Once Narada Muni asked Krishna, "Who are your best devotees?" So obviously Narada Muni himself is a great devotee. We have Pandavas, we have Gopis, we have Nanda Maharaj, we have Radharani, we have so many other devotees throughout all cosmos. So Krishna, so he asked Narada Muni asked, "Who is your best devotee, or who are your best devotees?" So Narada Muni, so he says, Krishna says, "Okay, you do one thing. You go to all my devotees and just say them, I am having a headache. Krishna is having a headache and he needs a dust from their lotus feet. So that will relieve the headache, Krishna's headache. So you go and ask everybody." So Narada Muni goes and asks to various devotees. Obviously, Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. How can I give dust of my lotus feet to be smeared on Krishna's head? Can you imagine taking a dust of our head and smearing on the deity in the temple? Can we ever imagine that? We can't even think of that, right? It's such a great offense. So obviously, the Narada Muni went to so many devotees, and all devotees said, "No, no, no, we cannot do that." Some devotees says, "Oh, we will go to hell if we give our dust of our lotus feet, no, dust of our feet to be smeared on Krishna's head. We will also go to hell." Then he finally goes to Gopi. So he Narada Muni comes back to Krishna. He says, "No, I did not got the answer. I did not got the dust from anybody's feet." Then Krishna says to Narada Muni, "You go to Gopis of Vrindavan." Then he goes to the Gopis of Vrindavan and he says, "Krishna is having a headache and the dust of your feet will relieve the headache. So can you give your dust of the feet?" Gopis immediately take the dust from their feet and they give it to Narada Muni. Narada Muni becomes astonished and he asks Gopis, "Are you not scared? Are you not scared that by giving your dust of your feet to Krishna to put on your head will send you to hell and you will have to suffer. Gopi says, it does not matter whether we enjoy or whether we suffer in the hell. If the dust of our feet can relieve the Krishna's headache, that's what we want. We want Krishna should be happy. It does not matter whether we go to heaven or we go to hell. See, that is pure devotional service. See, they are not bothered. They didn't thought that by giving dust of my feet, I am incurring some sinful reaction. No, no, no. Krishna is asking. Krishna says the dust of my feet is relieving the headache, Krishna's headache. So they immediately delivered the dust. You see, and without even discounting the fact that they will have to go to hell or they have to go, suffer distress or anything. So that is the position of devotion, pure devotional service, and that's what the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says here. I do not mind my personal distress. This is a very, very important point. See, we all go through so much distress, so we should not be discouraged. That is a very important point. It's not that we are doing some business with Krishna. We want to have satisfaction of Krishna. Whatever devotional service we are doing, we want Krishna to be satisfied. Our spiritual masters to be satisfied. Vaishnavas to be satisfied with that devotional service. Not that I should be satisfied or I should become exalted. So once we have that mood, that consciousness, and then we engage in the devotional service, then it's a pure devotional service. See, it's not difficult, right? Now, devotional service surpasses liberation. So, yeah, so we'll come to that later if we have time. So now we see, now the question arises, okay, I have understood the position of pure devotional service. I want to become pure devotee now. You want to become, right? I want to become pure devotee. We all want to become pure devotees. That should be our determination. So now how to become pure devotees basically? That is the question. Important question. How to achieve this platform of pure devotional service? Again, we will see there are three main qualifications to achieve this platform of pure devotional service. And it's very, very simple qualifications. First qualification is intense eagerness or greed to achieve pure devotional service. Greed. I should be, so we'll see about it. We need to be extremely eager. We need to be greedy about to achieve the platform of pure devotional service. Second is sincerity and determination. And third is mercy of Guru and Krishna. So first we'll talk about the greed part, right? Intense eagerness. So there is a very, very good story about this, about a thief of Vrindavan. So what happens once was, there was a thief somewhere in South India. I don't remember exactly in South India or Central India where he was, but there was a thief in South India or somewhere. Somehow or other, he started at somehow or other he went into a Bhagavatam class, Srimad Bhagavatam class. A Bhagavatam class was going on, and his intention was to go into the temple to figure out what can he steal from the temple. But he nonetheless he attended the Bhagavatam class there, and he heard from the narrator, from the speaker, about the position of Krishna, that how opulent Krishna is. So many jewels Krishna wears, bracelets, bangles, all pendants, necklaces, rubies, pearls, so many things Krishna is wearing. Please give me 1 minute. I'm really sorry. Video is starting. I'm really sorry about this. So Krishna was so he was actually describing the position of Krishna. That's uh, so much opulent Krishna is, and then he says Krishna is only 5 years old boy. Ah, the thief says, oh, just a 5 year old boy, and he's so opulent. He has so many jewels. He has so many bracelets, necklace, helmets, rubies, diamonds. What I am doing here? Let me go to Vrindavan. I will find Krishna, and then I will take all these jewels and ornaments from Krishna. So what he does, he then starts from Krishna. At the time, there is no train, bus, airplane. He has to walk, or maybe a bullock cart, something like that. He started walking. All throughout the journey, he was thinking about Krishna. That I have to see Krishna in Vrindavan. I have to meet Krishna in Vrindavan. I have to take all this jewelry from Krishna. See, his desire was not pure. His desire was still material. He wanted to take all the jewels of Krishna. But so much intense eagerness he had. He developed to see Krishna. And then eventually, finally, he comes to Vrindavan and he asks, so where can I find Krishna? So the people say, oh, you may find him in some forest. He will be there in some forest of Vrindavan. So he goes into the forest. One forest after another he searches. Krishna, where are you, Krishna? I am looking for you, Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I am not able to find Krishna. Where is Krishna? So much eagerness he had, so much intense eagerness he was searching for Krishna. And then what happens? Krishna reveals himself to that thief. Krishna, as a 5-year-old boy, he comes to that thief. What happened? Why are you looking for me? So Krishna says, oh, the thief says, oh, Krishna, I can see you. Oh, you have so many jewels, so many diamonds, necklaces, pendants, helmets. Oh, please give it to me. What will you do? Oh, you are only a small boy. You don't need all these things. Please give me all these things to me. Krishna says, no, 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 no. I cannot give these things to you. Mother Yashoda will scold me. No, 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 no. I cannot give. But finally, what happens? Due to that association with Krishna, the thief was having, thief became pure devotee. He became completely purified. And then he says, and then after this thing happening, the thief is asking the jewelry, and the Krishna is saying, no, no, no. Finally, Krishna says, okay, take it. Take everything. Then the thief says, no, Krishna, now I don't want anything. I have seen you face to face, eye to eye. Now I have no desire to take anything from you anymore. You see, what was that qualification of the thief? A thief? He was a thief. But just that intense eagerness, intense greed he had to see Krishna, even for a material cause, even for a purpose to stealing his ornaments. But because of that qualification of intense eagerness and intense greed, he got the darshan of Krishna face to face, eye to eye, and he became a pure devotee. So that eagerness we need to develop. So if we have that eagerness, if we have that greed to see Krishna face to face, eye to eye, so then we will actually achieve pure devotional service. So in this regard, Rupa Goswami says in Padyavali, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yati Kuto Api Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekam Janma Koti Sukrutair Na Labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is to intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. What here says Rupa Goswami? Pure devotional service can be attained only by paying one price. And, and what is that price? Intense greed to obtain it. Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekam. Just one price, and that is lolyam, intense greed. If we have that intense greed to achieve Krishna, if we have that intense greed to achieve pure devotional service, then he says, just purchase it without delay. And the next is obviously sincerity and determination. So, are we sincerely aspiring for pure devotional service, or we have some motives behind our devotional service? See, we have already discussed the position of pure devotional service, that I don't want anything for myself. Um, 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 I do not even consider the distress which I'm going through. All I want is the happiness of Krishna. So how much sincere are in our execution of devotional service? So here it's mentioned, devotional service is dependent on nothing other than the sentiment or desire for service. It requires nothing more than sincerity. That's another qualification. Sincerity. If we are really sincere to achieve the platform of pure devotional service, we will easily achieve it. So Prabhupada gives an example. Prabhupada explains in the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 8, text 30, that for a sincere person, devotional service is very easy. And that for who is not determined and sincere, this process is very difficult. So all we have to do is to be sincere about becoming Krishna's pure devotees. If we make this our determination that I must become now Krishna's pure devotee, we will experience this process of Krishna consciousness as most wonderful and sublime. So, unless we are determined and unless we are sincere, Krishna consciousness will be a very, very difficult process to execute, and eventually we'll give it up. But if we have just some simple sincerity in our heart, and if we are determined, then the process of Krishna consciousness becomes very easy. Now, the question arises, how do I develop this sincerity and determination? It's actually very simple. If we practice the control of our senses, then we develop this qualification. And now, how to practice the control of the senses? If we follow the four regulative principles very sincerely, then we automatically control the senses, and then we automatically develop the sincerity and the determination. So it's not difficult. And eventually, the most important and the most important aspect is the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Without the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we cannot achieve the platform of pure devotional service. And we know this. Brahmand Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bija. By the mercy of spiritual master, who is pure devotee, and by the mercy of Krishna, one can achieve the platform of devotional service. There is no other way. That's what the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. There is no other way. By the mercy of spiritual master, no other way does not mean that the sincerity and eagerness is also not there. It basically means that outside of Krishna consciousness, there is no other way to achieve the platform of pure devotional service. And outside of the mercy of Guru and Krishna, so basically, say for example, if I am puffed up, okay, now I have become too much scholar in all the books. So now I don't need my Guru. So now I can jump over my Guru to Krishna directly. That way we cannot actually reach the platform of pure devotional service. We have to understand that no matter, see, even when we go back to Godhead, we are eternally the servants of our spiritual master. Even when we go back to Goloka Vrindavan, there we will recognize our Guru, spiritual master, and we will be having the same relationship with him. The relation between Guru and disciple is eternal. Even after liberation, even after going back to Godhead, that relation does not change. So we are always servants of our spiritual master. We can never overcome the position of our spiritual master. And there are many verses. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj also confirms that merely by personal efforts or by the instructions of higher authorities, one cannot attain to the stage of devotional service. One must become blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is completely freed from the contamination of material desires. So you see, one can attain to this stage of devotional service. Hear what Prahlad Maharaj says. One must become blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is a pure devotee himself, who is completely freed from the contamination of material desires, and then we can achieve the platform of pure devotional service. And there are more. So this is the instruction of King Bharata. The Jada Bharata to King Rahuguna. My dear King Rahuguna, unless one has the opportunity to smear his body with the dust of the lotus feet of the great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth by observing celibacy, strictly following the rules and regulations of householder life, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water, or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. So this verse is the sum and substance of our today's class. No process of self-realization or no material qualifications, like we see everything. Jada Bharata has mentioned everything here. Celibacy, householder life rules and regulations, vanaprastha, becoming a sannyasi, undergoing austerities, so good that in the winter austerities, auspicious summer, no austerities of no process can help us to achieve the platform of devotional service or to achieve to understand Krishna. But the absolute truth is revealed. Krishna is revealed only to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. And this is the final verse of today, where Krishna himself says, Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhaktash chate janaha, mad bhakta nam cha ye bhaktash, tame bhakta tamamata. Those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees. Only those who are devotees of my devotees are factually my devotees. So that's why the Krishna comes up as well that if you claim to be a devotee of Krishna, Krishna says you are not my devotee. But if you are a devotee of my devotee, then yes, you are my devotee. So this is a quotation from Adi Puran where Lord Krishna actually says to Arjuna. So thank you very much. Thank you for attending this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam class. I'm sorry, by wonderful uh, purports of Srila Prabhupada. So that's all I have to say in the class today. So let's take this message of Srila Prabhupada very, very seriously. We all understand that the Prabhupada has taken so much discomfort personally at the age of 70 uh, just to give us Krishna consciousness. So let's take this process of Krishna consciousness very, very seriously, and our lives will be ultimately sublime. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. As usual, very wonderful sessions, going much detail. And Sudhir Gopal Prabhu is there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu. I was waiting. Please go.
No. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Amal Puran Prabhuji. That was a wonderful narration. How to know Krishna? Yes, it's Lord is inconceivable for us, and you have narrated how the lowlium, the greed of a devotee with the mercy of the spiritual master of the Vaishnavas is the path for us to know Krishna. Thank you very much for always going deep into the scriptures and getting those jewels for us that has been stored by Srila Prabhupada in the purports and in the verses given by our acharyas. So let's thank Prabhuji by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram. Thank you very much. So, Yugal Kisar Prabhu, do you have any announcement?
No, Prabhu, no. Only maybe our brahmacharis and they are in Mayapur Yatra.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. So I would request our Bhakti Center devotees to continue with the Kirtan and Ashram Pranam. Ranjay Prabhu or Charan Prabhu, anybody is there? Okay, I'll just sing otherwise. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladalai. Praladalai. Hiranyakasi Purvaksha. Hiranyakasi Purvaksha. Silatanka Nakalale. Shilatanka Nakalai. Ito Nashimha Parato Nashimha. Ito Nashimha Bharato Nashimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nashimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nashimha He Nashimha He Nashimha Bahe Nashimha Hridaye Nashimha Narasimha Madim Saranam Narasimha Madim Saranam Prabhati Tavakara Kamalavare Natha Uta Sringha Dalita Hiranakashipo Tanu Vringa Eshavadrita Narasavirupa Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Naka Uta Sringha Dalita Hiranakashipo Tanu Vringa Eshavadrita Narahariropa Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Jai Jagadesha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Bhakta Vighna Vinasana Srimade Bhagavan ki Jai Bhakta Shamani Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pramanand Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining our Sunday feast. I look forward to have your association once again. So this is the festival time, especially in Mayapur and so many other places. We can also have that festive atmosphere at home by focusing more on chanting and hearing the glories of the holy name and Gauranga Mahaprabhu and from the Gaur Leelas. I would request all the devotees to be absorbed as the Gaur Purnima is coming closer and closer.